for our next session on building bridges in the cyber labor market, I have the pleasure of passing the floor again to our moderator, Mr. Randy Pestana. If I can pass it on to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paula. Absolutely delighted to host this next discussion between three phenomenal practitioners in the field. I have prompted and asked our panelists to speak from about 3 to 7 minutes worth of remarks, and I'll introduce them in the order in which they will present. First, Abby Daniel is the Director of Latin America, Canada, and Caribbean Public Sector at Amazon Web Services. Ms. Daniel has more than 25 years of experience in government and international business with a specialization in business development and strategy, marketing, communication, and management. Thank you, Abby. Speaking after Abby would be Marian Merritt, who is the Deputy Director of the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education at NIST. Her area of focus includes industry engagement, apprenticeship, and small business cybersecurity. Plenty to talk there, Marian, so thank you for joining us. Last but not least, of course, is Olga Cavalli, who is the Argentine National Director for Cybersecurity at the Secretariat for Public Innovation and the Chief of Cabinet of Ministers of the Presidency of Argentina. Excited to have you all here. So really what I want to do is ask a fairly broad question that will allow you all to highlight some of the best practices that you have all seen with regard to building these pathways, particularly in terms of interaction between academia, industry, and government, a problem that we seem to face not just here in the United States, but all around the world. So Abby, if I can go to you first and get your thoughts.
Thank you, Randy, and thank you to my fellow distinguished panelists. It's nice to be joined by two other professional women on this panel. From the Amazon Web Services perspective, I think you highlighted it very clearly, Randy, that collaboration between academia, the public sector, and the private sector is key to be able to be successful in cybersecurity education globally and regionally. As part of the initiative for AWS, Amazon Web Services, for us, cybersecurity is really job number one. And being able to be a part of teaching both young and career professionals about cybersecurity and the importance of that helps us as a company, and also helps society and our partners globally and regionally with that career talent that they need. We published a white paper with the Organization of American States with some recommendations on how academia, public sector, and private sector can work together on cybersecurity and education. And I'll highlight just a few of the initiatives that we have at Amazon Web Services. We have over 500 courses available free online for cloud computing, starting with the basics and then working up into more specialized career and educational programs around cybersecurity, machine learning, artificial intelligence, etc. We have a program called AWS Educate, which has 12 learning modules and is available in French, English, Portuguese, and Spanish. And one of those modules is specifically focused on cybersecurity. And why of the 12 modules? Well, because cybersecurity cuts across all of the different products and services that we offer at Amazon Web Services. I'll also highlight another program that we've launched just recently, which is for training for junior level security talent internally at the company. And it's a program that we are offering for employees that aren't necessarily at Amazon Web Services, but could be at Amazon Amazon Retail. And it's a program called Aspiring Security Engineers Apprenticeship. And it's a 9-month apprenticeship program because we have internal employees who are interested in careers and in professions in cybersecurity. So I'll stop there, but I wanted to just share a few of those. And then finally, we have announced that we're committed to training 29 million globally by 2025. And cybersecurity is an important component to that.
Thanks so much, Abby. Marian.
Wow, fantastic. Yeah, so thanks for having me here today, Randy, and thanks to everybody involved in putting Reset together. So you already heard from Rodney Peterson, but we at NICE, which again is the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education, is led by NIST as part of the U.S. Department of Commerce. And my work is not only to act as the Deputy Director under the leadership of Rodney Peterson, but also to work as our lead for industry engagement. So I liaise to our Modernized Talent Management Working Group, but also to our apprenticeship community of interest. So lots of things there to build bridges across different groups. But in general, all of our work at NICE is coordinated around themes of stakeholder engagement, right? So we always are thinking about various stakeholder groups. And our program office is actually relatively small, so that you, all of you on this webinar, really are members of our community, and you're all concerned about the need for cybersecurity talent. So you, the community at large, you're our force multiplier, and that informs our strategy in general. So whether that means stakeholder groups are defined as industry, and that's my particular area, or academia or government or our international stakeholder group, or we look to our colleagues across the US federal government, such as ONCD and the White House, or CISA, and their 16 critical infrastructure sectors, we might focus some outreach efforts there. We find that we really benefit from working in a focused and targeted way with that stakeholder engagement method. And additionally, we focus or we leverage important partners like FIU or Lightcast. You, I believe, heard reference earlier to Cyberseek, the website that we help fund, which gives us that incredible marketplace data about the incredible workforce shortage, the 770,000 open positions in the US alone. And that comes through our partnership with Lightcast. We're also working with Business Roundtable. That helps us get information from industry about the talent that they're looking for and the new skill areas that are emerging. You know, we really can't get those leading indicators and trends without that kind of partnership, those kind of bridges into industry. So again, relatively small program office within NIST, within the US Department of Commerce, but we become much more powerful through the force multipliers of our stakeholder engagement. And again, here with our partnership with FIU helps us, establish our annual NICE conference in June. And again, is a great exemplar of what we think these kind of partnerships can do for us. So back to you, Randy.
Thanks so much, Marian. Definitely join us in Seattle, June 5th through 7th, 2023. Shameless plug. Hope you all can join us from the region. Last but not least, certainly I want to turn it over to Olga Cavalli. Olga, you should be able to share. I think you have some slides for us, right?
Yes. Thank you, Randy. Thank you for the kind invitation. And I would like to tell you a story about the success story, because when I read about the description of the session, it's something that we started to work some years ago. Let me open. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I have so many things open. I have to. There. So this is an idea that came to us. We were participating in different internet governance or ICANN or cybersecurity meetings in the 15 years ago, and we noticed that the participation of the region, Latin American region, was not very relevant, was low, and not only low, the people that were there were not really prepared. So we thought about organizing some training that could be really multi-stakeholder, including all the stakeholders in the participation as fellows and as teachers. And so we trained the future internet leaders of the region. So we started with this project in 2009 in Buenos Aires. As you can see, the first picture is quite small group. We granted fellowships to all the participants, including hotel, meals, and the training from the very beginning. And we have been rotating along the region in Sao Paulo, Mexico, Bogota, Panama. As you can see, the group is growing steadily every year. And Trinidad and Tobago in 2014, Costa Rica, then we organized again another meeting in Brazil, Mexico, and then 2 times in the Organization of American States venue, where we focus especially on cybersecurity issues. And Then the pandemic came and we went through virtual mode in 2020 and 2021. The thing is, we provide fellowship. I don't know what happens with my presentation, goes forward. We provide fellowship for all the participants, including hotel, meals, and the training. We don't pay plane tickets. Sometimes we do when we have some budget available, but in general, we do provide a hotel, and nobody pays for the training. We have simultaneous translation, Spanish, English all the time. All the event is broadcasted in YouTube, and all the information is in our YouTube channel in both languages. And when organized in Brazil 2 times, it was also translated into Portuguese. So all the information goes into our YouTube channel. We had participants from all these countries. The main focus is Latin America, but as we really, it was always, we always had this remote participation, but during 2020 and 2021 that we had this really virtual event, it really went global. Now we have participants from Europe, from Asia, from Africa, from all over the world. So we had more than 500 and 600 participants in 2020 and 2021. This is a picture of our YouTube channel. Then our team divides each of the panels and the keynotes into different smaller videos, so people that were not able to follow all the participation or on site or virtually can check and review all the keynotes and panels afterwards. And then we added in 2021 a pre-training course, because that was demanded by the students, that there was a lot of information during 1 week. So they wanted this pre-training. It's 2 months with material prepared by our team. It's exclusive material, because there are many training courses that just copy-paste materials from other training courses. This is not our case. We have videos prepared by our team, podcasts, and reading material. And this year, we have a new thing added. We have the pre-training course, the 5 days hybrid event. We came again to have participants on site. And we have added a partnership with one university from Argentina, where I graduated from as an engineer. And those fellows that do the 2 first stages and have proved to be participating in a good shape, they can do a investigation with the university, and they get a university diploma of internet regulations so nobody pays for this training. There are a lot of opportunities to participate. And one thing that it's a spin-off of all this activity is that they build a very strong networks among all the participants, with these experts, with the fellows. We published a book, which is the only book about internet governance and regulations focused in Latin America, jointly with Fundación Getúlio Vargas from Brazil, LACNIC, and Internet Society. It's in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. It's published. It's free, of course, as everything that we do. And this year we got a prize from WSIS, the WSIS prize, as a recognition of our trajectory. Thank you very much, and happy to answer questions. And of course, we are finding the new venue for next year. We're working on that, and we will let you know. This is the picture of our hybrid event this year in Buenos Aires. And thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Olga, and look forward to getting that invitation to go back down to Latin America to join you. So I have a series of questions, that none of which I am going to use, because we have fantastic questions in the chat already. I do want to go first to a question I was posed to the last panel, but I think it's very relevant to this discussion, from Hector Antonio Mendoza Espinosa, who asked, organizations and governments should invest in employee training to prepare professionals in cybersecurity defense issues, and universities should add security issues to all educational communities, because the topic of cybersecurity, the topic that interests us all to know. I want to take the last part of that comment really with regard to this understanding, and Brian alluded to it in the first discussion, of cybersecurity awareness for all, right? Cybersecurity as a competency, if you will. So Marian, if I can talk to you first, because I know NIST has developed a competency framework, or you're growing this competency framework as well. If we can go to you, Marian, then Abby, then Olga, to discuss this idea of cybersecurity for all, or cybersecurity hygiene for all. What do you think?
Yeah, so absolutely. In fact, there's a movement to develop sort of, included, embedded throughout curriculum, certainly in business school curriculum and IT, but throughout the coursework, because everyone needs to have this knowledge, regardless of where you end up in your career, because it's just, it's part of our necessary part of being a participant in society, right? You need it in order to be able to vote and to be able to do your, online shopping and whatever your activities are. You need to have a knowledge of how we interact electronically, right? So for the organizations, whether it's the government or the academic institution, to help you be an informed citizen, these are part of the competencies of a good education. And yes, NIST did issue some initial thinking about how competencies should be communicated. It's not the final word on that. And so it's a good opportunity for people who have thoughts on how these should be developed to help us develop those concepts. There was a question early on, and I clicked on the wrong button. It came from Carolina Kim, who had thoughts about the NIST framework, which is obviously related to developments on competencies. And I just wanted to mention that for people who are interested in adopting the NIST framework, we do have a users group, as well as a manager, Karen Wetzel, of the NIST framework. And you can learn how to get engaged with both the users group and communicate directly with Karen Wetzel on our website. So I would encourage people to do so, and I'll drop that in the chat later on.
Thanks, Marian. Abby?
So I'll add that part of the series of the white papers that we've published with the OAS really does target the importance of including cybersecurity within all organizations, whether it's public, private, or academia. And one of the papers that we published was geared toward small and medium-sized companies, because we heard from feedback that there are often organizations that don't have larger departments or divisions, or even in some cases an HR team that's tasked with professional education. And so that white paper has some guidelines and some recommendations on how to incorporate cybersecurity training for small and medium-sized companies. One of the things that we've been doing in the region that we brought to Colombia a few months ago, and we're going to be continuing throughout Latin America in 2023, are tabletop exercises where we involve different groups of stakeholders. The one we did in Colombia, we invited some journalists to attend as well, so that they could educate themselves about cybersecurity. And those are 3-hour sessions that are interactive, where we use the tabletop exercise framework to replicate a cyber incident and help the participants look at how they would react. And then we do an analysis afterwards within the working groups. And that's another, I think, another important tool that gets different stakeholders together from government and educational institutions. And then finally, I'll share that in next year, we'll be launching a program geared toward K-12 that now is available only in the US in English, but it will be available in Spanish and Portuguese next year, called AWS Spark, which is really hands-on training for K-12 on cloud technology and security. Because as Marian mentioned, there's really no age. Everybody, even as early as age, when they, 2 and 3, and when they can start touching things, needs to be educated about the importance of security of their own personal data and their own personal information.
Thank you for that. I am going to go to Olga, but I also want to take the opportunity, piggybacking what Abby said, because there's a question from my very, very good friend, Willie Henderson from cyber.org, with regard to the idea, in addition to cybersecurity for all, this idea of designing programs for K-12, particularly investment by governments and industry to support an academic institution for support the K-12 development to help do that cybersecurity for all. So Olga, you can touch on piece of it, all of it, whatever you want.
Okay, let me tell you that the program that we have, it's kind of general, but we have been focusing more on cybersecurity each year. By the way, one of the meetings that we organized in the Organization of American States venue, it was called Cyber School of Internet Governance because it was totally devoted to cyber. What we are planning now for this year, it's a series of online training, like capture the flag, but not as a contest, but explaining how to solve one, but more than educational for everyone. And also at the national level, we are working on awareness campaign for all the national employees, not only for people working in cyber or not only for people working in IT, but for everyone, because every one of us use somehow or some device and are connected. So it's important that we focus on that. So, there was another comment that you made and I forgot.
With regard to helping out and supporting K through 12.
Well, we are focusing on that. We are working on several activities. What we noticed in the last event a month ago is that the interest for cybersecurity and cybercrime is extremely important, and also on metaverse and intelligence artificial, I'm sorry, I mix the languages, artificial intelligence. So we will change, we have decided to change the program for the next activities during 2023, more focused on cybersecurity, cybercrime, and having this kind of solving contest, but not as contest, but as explaining how people can work on that.
Thank you, Marian. I do want to give you the opportunity, particularly from the K-12 perspective. I know NICE leads a NICE K-12 conference as well.
We do. We have a K-12 conference. It'll be in St. Louis the first week of December, and I absolutely would encourage people, if they're thinking of going. I mean, we sell out. It's an exciting event for school counselors, for people who run camps, and a great way to learn about available curriculum for people to learn how to teach and just get students excited. But even beyond that, we have online resources for people, because even parents can work with their kids and play games with them about cybersecurity, because anyone can help a young person discover careers. It's not up to our teachers. Teachers have so much to do, right? We expect them to do everything from music and arts and math and science, right? So, any one of us can spark that interest. And any one of us who's a practitioner in cybersecurity should really be telling young people what we do for a living, because that's really key. Not everyone knows what cybersecurity is. They think it's somebody in a hoodie. They think it's, Mr. Robot, which, it could be, but it's all of us. So we need to talk up what we do a little bit more, just so that they know it's the 52 work roles and beyond.
Absolutely. Fantastic. I do want to merge a few questions here together. The question started with Kelly Rada Jimenez. This is something that irks me and bothers me a lot, and I know, Marian, I think it does to you too, where Kelly asks how to overcome the barrier of work experience in cybersecurity, even when people have courses and knowledge and experiences. I believe it was Mercy who mentioned CISSP is one of the most required in industry. I recall seeing job descriptions for 5 years of experience and a CISSP for an entry-level role paying $50,000 a year. And I laugh, but there's a severe disconnect, it seems, between expectations from industry and governments in terms of certain requirements. Not all industry and governments, I don't want to paint a broad picture, but this experience expectation, the certification expectation, particularly for entry-level roles. How do you think industry, government, and academia is seeing this, and how are they working towards solving this issue? I'll go Marian, Olga, and then Abby, if that's all right.
So we really appreciate people have brought it to our attention and kept it in the fore. And we have told and kept people honest about it. Now, leading employers, IBM was a great exemplar in the New Collar Initiative to say, we're not going to do this anymore. They've worked with their HR people, they've rewritten job descriptions, and you will see they've walked the walk. Now, they need to keep doing that. Other industry leaders are doing the same. But you need to keep at them, right? Because there's tendency for a little backsliding. On the government side, CISA is working very hard to drop college degree requirements. That doesn't mean that college doesn't matter. Education absolutely matters. It just means that there's an opportunity for people who have prepared to enter into cybersecurity careers in other ways. They've come up through military. They've got a 2-year degree. They've gone through a boot camp. They've self-taught. They can demonstrate their skills in other ways that they should be able to get their resume across the desk and be considered for these opportunities. That's what we want to have happen with 700,000 open positions.
Fantastic, Olga.
Me? Okay. For governments, it's quite complicated because the need is very high and the market is very demanding. So it's difficult to capture the talent from people. So my idea and my proposal to the government is to work with universities and try to capture young professionals that could be interested in working in the government as a part of their resume and experience. And maybe then they go to the private sector, but they can work with the government for a while. Also, I think, and I think that Marian mentioned this, there are so many things to work within cybersecurity. Maybe you're not so much expert, but you may be a good person for policy work, or you may focus on legal aspects of cybersecurity, not only about pure technology and things that are very that need perhaps a lot of experience working in the technology side. So I think that those of us in need of people with talent and interest should be open to bring people and try to train them and capture them into a team that could nurture them with information. I think with young talent or not young talent, I mean, there's no age to learn. I've been young for many years and I know that. And so you have to be open to receive people that are keen to work in this area, and not only for very specific technical issues, but there are other aspects of cybersecurity that are also very much needed in government, in private sector, and in academia.
So I'll add a few things, and I think Marian brought up a very good point, which is that education is important. Degrees university degrees are valuable, but having micro-credentials, having professional certification, having apprenticeship and internship experience is also something that is valuable as well. And as a company at Amazon Web Services, I think we've come to the recognition that even though a job description might say university degree, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's a limit for someone who doesn't have that to apply, and certainly to apply to an entry-level position. And entry-level doesn't mean right out of college. It can be someone who's upskilled or reskilled from another profession that has gotten a training in a particular cloud technology or cybersecurity role. And I would also say that for those that are participating today in this conference, if you have experience or you have education that may not have come from a full-time position, don't be discouraged or not apply for a role you're interested in, even if the job description says that it requires a university degree. I don't think that you should be discouraged from applying, because you can highlight your experience when you have an interview. I'll also say that for us, really offering on-the-job training is something that's really valuable for us. So getting your foot in the door in any position at certainly at a large company like Amazon Web Services or other large company, and then pursuing in the company upskilling and training opportunities is another path to career development.
Well, thank you for that, Abby. Got plenty of questions in the chat. I'm trying to go through them. It seems just like the cybersecurity workforce gap, every time I answer a question, there's 3 more that pop up. I do have a question, and I'm biased. Those who know me know my heart is near and dear to Honduras. So I'm going to take this question from Xiomara Sevilla. which was more of a comment and an applaud to the panels. I'm from Honduras, and I appreciate this type of conference that motivates women to focus on the world of cyber education. Olga, I'll go to you first because I know you alluded to the WCC's collaboration and the other work that we're doing to think about cybersecurity workforce differently, to think about how do we diversify, not just under gender or racial backgrounds, but in other things like academic background, right? Instead of just the traditional computer science and certification role. So Olga, what are you seeing and what are you all doing, particularly on increasing women participation and other diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts?
Well, in the School of Internet Governance that I show you some pictures about, we have a golden rules from day zero that was established by myself. Fellows should be 50-50, full gender balance for fellows. Then with panels and keynotes, then it's not always so easy, but we try to have also balance in that. I've been working also with the National Center of Engineers for many, many years. From before this issue was so much in the press, which is good that it's there. In trying to promote the careers, STEM careers for young professionals and young ladies. In the program, in the capacity building program that I showed you, in some of the events, we had very strong participation from high school students of their last year, especially technical students. And they had, has been very successful. Some of them were very impressed by getting into knowing the technology, because sometimes among teenagers, being very much related with technology is somehow discriminating for them. So we are trying to change that and to show them that there is a very interesting working possibilities of international careers that, and especially for women, that they can be independent, they can have their careers and they can have their salaries and they can build their life around a technology career. So working with high school students, we think it's this fundamental. We have achieved that. It's not so easy because they are very busy with the school and sometimes they are not so motivated with technology training. And also we have found people that are not so young but are interested in getting more into technology. Because they have more time, and so that's another part of capturing experience and talent.
Fantastic, Abby.
Yeah, so we have two programs that I will highlight, I think that are important. We launched the AWS Restart program, which is a cohort of 25 to 30, and again, 50% men, 50% women, for upskilling in cloud technology. Those are delivered through third-party collaborating organizations. And in Latin America, we've partnered with Fundación Forge in multiple countries, as well as Elevate Me and Compensar and other third-party organizations to deliver that course. And the other course that we launched during COVID is a course called Tech Skills, Habilidades Tech, that also has cohorts for women. It's a 5-week boot camp by which then the students are prepared for the cloud certification practitioner exam and cloud practitioner exam certification. And those have really been the opportunity for women who unfortunately, during COVID, lost their jobs to be able to upskill and reskill through those courses. And the Inter-American Development Bank has been promoting those through their partners in the region. We'll be offering additional cohorts in 2023. And I want to say that I've been at Amazon Web Services now for 6 years. And my background was not cloud computing. I'd never worked for a large multinational company before joining Amazon Web Services. I lived in Costa Rica for 25 years and worked for a small business there. And my knowledge and experience of cloud technology and cybersecurity has come with on-the-job professional capacity building and training. So I would just share that story to really encourage anyone who's on and listening today that it doesn't matter where you are in your career journey, and it doesn't matter what your professional studies were. I have an undergraduate degree in political science. If you are interested in technology career, there is a high demand, and you can prepare yourself through professional development.
Thank you, Abby. Marian, any thoughts?
I do. So as you know, we just wrapped up the 120-day cybersecurity apprenticeship sprint. And one of the goals was to focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the targeting of populations, because as we all know, in the United States at least, cybersecurity is predominantly a white and male career field. Women are 25% approximately of the population, and the diversity numbers are poor. So the good news is, by targeting, by being intentional about who you're bringing into programs, the results are the participants of the 7,000 new apprentices in the programs, 42% are people of color and 32% are female. So that is really good data to show that when we are intentional, when we create programs with support and we are mentoring and doing things with the idea that this is what we want as an outcome, we can get there together.
Fantastic. That's great news, Marian. Thank you. I do have a question here from Rosa Carroca. She says, everyone talks about young professionals, but I think that the older ones or those with experience in technology can be a great contribution, because we know a weak area of software. So invite the older generations to be part of the community as well. I think I saw someone else in the Q&A talk about how it's never too late to learn cybersecurity or get into cybersecurity. So I think this raises the larger question of reskilling and upskilling to help fill that workforce gap while we're still working on this cyber awareness and the cyber education and the pathwaying piece. I want to start, if it's okay, with Abby, Marian, and then go to Olga with regard to the importance of reskilling and upskilling in an effort to kind of build that workforce for you. So Abby, if I can go to you first.
Sure, absolutely. And really the AWS Restart program is specifically for that. I was at our Toronto, Canada summit in June this year, and I had two women come up to me to introduce themselves, and they were in the Restart cohort program. They were both in their mid to late 40s. One had been a nurse her entire career and was interested now in a career in technology, and the other had been out of the workforce for 15 years raising her family, and was now preparing herself for a career in technology. So absolutely right on that it's not just about young professionals, it's about any age professional. And there are programs like AWS Restart that are free to the students. That particular course is a 16-week course and prepares you for a junior level position at Amazon Web Services or at any other cloud service provider or at with one of our partners. And I'll just say that globally we have more than 100,000 small, medium, and in some cases multinational companies that are our implementation partners, that are also very challenged with finding qualified talent. And so there is a high demand and an opportunity for those that want to upskill and reskill.
Fantastic. Marian.
Yeah, so I'm really heartened by employers like Amazon Web Services. I think that there is a huge demand here. If anything, the pandemic has given people a lot of opportunity to reconsider their careers and enter into training programs. I don't think all employers are looking at this population of people and might overlook really good talent. In the example you gave, people with nursing or medical or healthcare experience could be very valuable to pivot into cybersecurity, but bring that healthcare knowledge with them. So we want to make sure that we're speaking to employers about that opportunity, but I think we have work to do.
Olga.
Yeah, I totally agree with Marian. I think that, and I congratulate AWS for having this program. The need is there, so the demand is there, but I think still organizations have to be more open to any age talent. Not only young, of course, young people is okay. They have a lot of energy, they don't have experience, and maybe people with more experience bring different values to the organization. But I still think, especially in Latin America, there is a need to reshape the demand and looking at the people from their Also the valuable experience in health and insurance, in bank, in political science, in policy, and bring them to the need of talent in cybersecurity and technology. But I think there is some work we have to do with organizations and governments as well. So everyone that has to hire people, the need is there, and we have to be more open.
Thank you. I want to shift gears a little bit, and this is something that was certainly important in my career as I was growing into cybersecurity. There's a question here from Olga with regard to, are there any mentorship programs available for persons in the Caribbean who need guidance on how to break through in the cyber field? I want to broaden that out to kind of known mentorship, but even broader than that, how do you, if you're interested in joining cybersecurity, how do you seek out a mentor? How do you gain a mentor? I found it to be really, really easy. I found someone that I really admired, went up to them and said, hey, will you mentor me? And it worked out really great. And I learned a lot and gained a lot of experience. But what are some of the programs that you're seeing that are successful? I know Carrie Ann Barrett does a lot of work in the Caribbean, so I'd kind of push that question to her specifically. But in mentorship, what kind of programs are you seeing? What kind of programs have you built? And more importantly, if you're a learner trying to seek out a mentor to get into the cybersecurity field, how would you go about that? So if I can go, Olga, or
Okay.
Marian, go ahead. Marian, go ahead.
Okay.
And we'll go Olga afterwards.
Let me go first. So there's two possible ways that I'm aware of. There's one is the very formal programs that a number of affinity groups have created. An affinity group would be a global organization like Women in Cybersecurity, WISIS, or Cybersecurity, which focuses on people of color and women. And if you are not a member of these organizations, find a chapter where you live. They are global. And there are other organizations. I don't mean to call out one or the other. They offer the opportunity to be partnered one-on-one, and they have coordinated programs so that everyone knows, both the mentor and the mentee, what your responsibilities are, how frequently you meet, and what kind of things you'll work on together. And then if you don't have the benefit of a program like that, it can be as simple as finding a person in your community, or even go on LinkedIn and connect with somebody who's written an article that you've liked, or you saw speak on a webinar like this, and connect with them. Now, it can be daunting, but sometimes you just connect and say, may I have 15 minutes of your time? I want to ask you, and then you have a virtual coffee. That's what mentoring can be. You get together, perhaps it's once a month, and you have very specific conversational topics. And that's what the mentoring can be. And you ask for, can you review my resume? I'm selecting my courses for next semester. Can you help go over the list with me, etc. So mentoring can be a very formal program. It can be something you create on your own. It can be somebody in your hometown. It can be somebody you don't even ever meet in person. And it has to be something that works for you. Okay, next person.
Thanks, Marian. Olga.
Sure. Thank you. I totally agree with Marian. It could be just some kind of small advice that you give to someone, or it can be a recommendation of training courses. As we do have a lot of fellows from the Caribbean. By the way, I am mentoring some of them in this third research stage that we are having. And most of the subjects of research that they have selected are mainly focused in cybersecurity. We partnered with Marian, which is the regional internet registry for in North America and part of the Caribbean, in promoting the school in the Caribbean. Then you have LACNIC. They are also present in the Caribbean with a lot of activities in 3 languages, Spanish, English, and Portuguese. So I agree with Marian that mentoring could be easy and not difficult for people to approach someone that you find in a conference. This is something that we found in our school, is that especially when it's done face-to-face or hybrid now, the students have the opportunity to interact with experts, and sometimes they exchange some ideas in coffee or in lunch break, and then they get in touch and they can exchange some training courses or mentoring for research. So the School of Internet Governance, follow me on internet for fellowships, and LACNIC and ERIN are those two organizations that I can think about now that can help.
Fantastic. Abby.
So another organization, actually, this week they're having their Caribbean conference is the Women Economic Forum, and they're focusing on technology and security. So that's another organization where someone could potentially approach members for mentorship. And I would also say, you know, I love Marian's idea of just reaching out on LinkedIn. I think that's absolutely a great approach. I have people approach me, and I'm always happy to give a little bit of time to somebody, you know, if they have a specific ask. But a couple of universities in Latin America that are offering master's degree programs in cybersecurity that I'll mention. I know reaching out to some of the faculty there, they would probably be also interested in having a conversation. In Colombia, Universidad de los Andes has a master's in cybersecurity, a master's in cybersecurity law program. And so even if you're not interested in getting a master's, they have a breadth of academic professors and educators who would, I'm sure, be interested also in a conversation. In Costa Rica, the Tech de Costa Rica and Universidad Empresarial de Costa Rica also offer master's degree programs. And that's another way, I think, to just reach out and see if somebody would give you some time for a conversation or for a more formal mentorship program.
Thank you for that, Abby. Again, a lot of questions in the chat. We've gotten, believe it or not, we've gotten through like 14 questions, but we just still have 37 questions. So we're not going to get through all of them, but I see a few questions that are consistent, asking about resources. Certainly go through the chat. I know there's been a lot of resources shared, a lot of links shared through there. I do want to turn to this question before I ask for final remarks from each of our panelists. Marian, I'll start here with you first. This is a question from Miguel Angulo, asking, how do we drive these conversations, particularly to small businesses, nonprofits, and people to create the general awareness to change their posture towards cybersecurity, particularly those, now I'm going off of this question, thinking about those that don't have the resources that AWS might have, or don't have the resources that national governments might have. So what are some of the things that small businesses and nonprofits can do to change that kind of perspective and seek support? And then I'll go Abby and Olga as well.
Yeah, so small businesses, I mean, we know they're not going to dedicate a staff member to be an IT professional, right? So if the vast majority of small businesses, not just in the United States, but globally, are under 10 people, right? So it's usually a small businesses, 1 or 2, maybe 5 individuals. So they are outsourcing the creation of their network, and they are dependent on others to configure things correctly. Their best practices are the knowledge of the individuals that manage the company. So if they are doing foolish things like, clicking on links they shouldn't be, it's the same things that a consumer is doing. So we at NIST have created a few materials that are intended to be helpful for these individuals to educate themselves and their coworkers. And they are really intended at that maybe advanced consumer level. So we've got some 3-minute animated videos. And by the way, the reason we chose animated is so that if somebody wanted to translate them into other languages, we could enable them to do so with our assistance. So if somebody wanted to make them into Spanish or Brazilian Portuguese, for example, we could assist them. But they also have 1-pagers that go along. So if somebody wanted to create a lunch and learn event, hey, employees, we're going to spend Wednesday at lunch and we're going to talk about ransomware, phishing, multi-factor authentication. I don't know that my dentist is going to stop the office for a day and do that, but it's nice to think that they might before the office gets taken down by ransomware. They are often as well dependent on their banker or their accountant to advise them on cybersecurity, which is probably not the best. It might be the Small Business Administration is advising them. It's the whole of the community, right? So we at NIST are doing what we can to provide them with materials, but it's really going to take this all of community effort to make sure that we're talking to them and meeting them where they are. right? So to give them materials to help them do the best that they can, and not inundate them with material they'll never implement or ask too much of them. So for those of you who are in education and are, helping develop students who are looking to get skills and are looking to get experience, one possible route is to send them out into the community to do assessments. They can use the NIST framework and sit down with a small business owner and say, how prepared are you for some kind of cybersecurity event? Do you back up? Where is the backup, etc.? And that is a benefit both to the small business owner as well as to the student, because now they have something to put on their resume as to an actual skill they developed. And I'll stop there.
Fantastic. Olga.
Okay, thank you. I think that national governments also have problems. I don't think that all national problems have, and governments have a lot of budget. What we have done at the national level, it's establishing a minimum requirements for cybersecurity that are mandatory for national organization, for members of the national government, for ministries and other organizations. So it's mandatory for them to follow some rules, and they have an audit from the national government. So, but curiously, this rule that it's, of course, it's available online and it's a national policy, is being están adhiriendo. How do you say that in English? Some private organizations and some other provinces are following those rules because they found them interesting and guiding in a way. And about small and medium enterprises, and this is from my academic side, we do have a website called Dominios Latinoamerica. We do organize webinars for small and medium enterprises, explaining how to use online tools, different online tools to improve productivity, security. So we do one webinar each month, more or less, and they're half an hour, 45 minutes with experts that explain things. The thing with small and medium enterprises, they have presence online, but they don't have perhaps all the tools included in their value chain of productivity. So that is a challenging thing. And also they have to realize that security should be part of their work, and someone in the organization should be focusing and being curious on those things and apply them to their company.
Fantastic. Abby.
So I put in the chat the white paper that we published with the OAS on recommendations for small and medium companies, which I think might have some valuable recommendations to support that that question. And I also I think that cybersecurity for everyone in a small business, even if it's a 10-person company, is a responsibility that can save time and money if you've educated yourself. So I offer that paper as a resource for small and medium businesses to use.
Thank you. So we do have, Marian, you wanted a two-figure? Okay. So moving, excuse the sound in the background. We have about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to give everyone about 1 minute opportunity to kind of leave us off with some final thoughts. We'll go in the order we started. So Abby, Marian, and then Olga, and then we'll close out. Abby.
So thank you, Randy, and thank you, Marian and Olga, for sharing this time together, and to all of those who were on the call with amazing questions. I will leave you with, this is a vital topic, cybersecurity in education and cybersecurity in the labor market is something that is here to stay, and it's only going to continue becoming more and more important. And so take advantage of us as panelists and of organizations that are working to develop resources that are available, and take advantage of that. And let's all work together to make sure that private sector, academia, and government is creating a more secure world for citizens globally.
Thanks, Abby. Marian. Marian, you with us?
I'm going to have to turn off my video. I think I'm having a little internet issue, but I just Yeah, I had to turn off my video. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can
Yeah.
hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Something happened with the network. The main thing I just wanted to let everyone know is that we here at NIST depend on all of you, and we have working groups as well as communities of interest, and we urge you to join us. Please visit us at nist.gov/NIST. I'll put it in the chat. Please join us and help inform industry and government and academia as we continue to hope to solve the 700,000 open positions by breaking down barriers with industry, by removing barriers to talent that wants to get into this field. You know, when people tell us that, you know, they're climbing over those hurdles of degree requirements for which they can't get in because they're retraining, they're pivoting, they're reskilling. They have a degree, but it's in the wrong field, or they're the wrong age, and people are overlooking them because, you know, they're coming in from another field, another area. Or they've got 3 degrees in cybersecurity, but they just don't fit the profile, right? We want to help everyone come together and solve this workforce talent. So we believe that NICE is the convener, and we hope that you will join us together in this work. So thank you all very much, and thank you to FIU for helping us be here today with all of you.
Thank you, Marian. Olga, final word.
Thank you. My last comment would be for people to be curious, go online and find all the different opportunities that we have been spoken, but we are just one part of the many other opportunities in different languages. Luckily, there are more offers in Spanish and Portuguese and in other languages, not only in English. Of course, learning English is useful. I always tell my students that it is important to know English as a second language. And if you know a third one, much better. Be curious, go online and contact people that you think that may help. Don't be shy. Don't be shy with your age, with your background. If you're a background in policy, if you're a background in law, in health, anything can be useful because we have to be multidimensional in this world today. So, and whatever you want to contact me, I am Olga Cavalli in all the networks. So I'm happy to help anyone. Thank you for the invitation.
And like the great panel that this was, we have finished exactly on time. Thank you all, Abby, Marian, Olga, for the fantastic discussion and the insights that you all have from your respective posts, and look forward to seeing what more we can all do together, bringing industry, academia, government together to solve these issues. So with that, I want to turn it back to our MC, Paula. It's all yours.
Thank you, Randy, and thank you for a great discussion, Marian, Olga, and Abby. And with